Close your eyes. Listen to the music and just feel it move. Feel the emotion and the conflict in the rhythm as the notes play together in perfect harmony. If you're anything like me, the first thing you see in your mind is swirling colors. I think of beautiful, lively greens and bright, magical yellows and contrasting reds, creating a landscape in my mind. The flow of water as the colors swirl into the shapes around them. In a sense, I think of animation. Animation is one of a kind, a medium unlike any other. It can tell complex stories with just a frame, like a painting, and have beautiful, living storytelling, just like live-action movies, all coming together with some of the greatest looking art of all time. To me, anyway. It can tell stories and connect emotionally, and present ideas and conflicts in a way like nothing else I've ever seen. Studios like Ghibli, DreamWorks, Laika, Disney, and Pixar have started and banked themselves off of making beautiful, creative, and groundbreaking movies that have cemented themselves not just into modern culture, but into history in general, and have changed the landscape of film and storytelling forever, and, in my opinion, for the better.
How can my dreams go so horribly wrong?
Mostly. From TV shows to video games to movies and more, animation has changed both how I imagine stories and how I think in general, in a sense. Like music swirling through my head. And there's no better movie that captures that idea for me, that feeling, than an animated Irish movie from a small studio that is no joke put out nothing but masterpieces. The third movie in Cartoon Saloon's Irish folklore trilogy, the second movie in my Woof masterpiece duology, and the first animated movie I've ever seen that 100% captures the living animation and emotion through every frame of its being. Tom Moore and Ross Stewart's Wolfwalkers. Are you looking for a cool, fun way to support the channel and also get some awesome-looking merch? Well, now there is one. Go to redbubble.com and search M. Greyway Films or use the app. We have lots of merch featuring the M. Greyway Films logo, including a sticker, a notebook, or even clothing items. There are also other original designs, short film posters, and fan art available. Go to redbubble.com and search M. Greyway Films. It would mean the world to me, and I hope you guys enjoy it. M. Greyway Films on Redbubble. So yeah, right off the bat, 100% spoilers for 100% of the movie. So like, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. It's on Apple TV Plus. Go pay for like 1 month, watch it. Watch that new Billie Eilish documentary. There's enough to get your money's worth. And then come back. Or if you don't care about spoilers like me, I hope you enjoy. So Wolfwalkers is the fourth movie from the indie Irish animation studio Cartoon Saloon, started in 1999 by some cool people, also known as the very same Tom Moore, Nora Twomey, and Paul Young. Like I said, it's their third movie in their Irish folklore trilogy, along with Secret of Kells and Song of the Sea, which features a main character with one of my all-time favorite names, Saoirse.
My name is Saoirse Ronan. Right?
The other movie from Cartoon Saloon actually differs a lot in story from the other three, being set in Afghanistan and based on a book, so it is not part of the trilogy. Also, it's apparently produced by Angelina Jolie, so that's something. The first thing you're hit with when you turn on Wolfwalkers is beautiful Irish music. The score of this movie never not going hard, brought to you by Bruno Coulet, the man who brought you the absolutely magical and creepy score of Coraline, bringing a lot of that same energy to this score, but this time with the beautiful wind instruments found in classic Irish music. You get a couple of shots of various wildlife as a first introduction to the beautiful, rough animation style that looks far more rough and incomplete than any of Cartoon Saloon's previous works, which keeps the same simple character designs, but with an almost vector-looking precision. A bird, a squirrel, a badger, an elk. Then cutting into frame, axe, axe, axe. The tree falls, and the birds, whose home has just been destroyed, fly away. Kilkenny, Ireland, 1650. Throughout these first couple of shots, not only do we set up essentially the main conflict of the whole story on multiple levels, but it also sets up one of the first animation motifs, if you will, that Wolfwalkers uses throughout to bring its animation to the next level. Perspective. This movie is the first movie I've ever seen use animated perspective to this effect. It's almost hard to describe if you haven't seen the movie. Take this almost normal-looking perspective that the movie opens with. As the movie goes on, and to illustrate certain things, it takes this and literally twists it more and more so that things that are far away look like they're on their sides. Like this shot of the town. You can see the entire town from an almost top-down perspective when they're in the forest. And in the beginning of the movie, the town looks so far away from the forest, but as the movie goes on and the threat level to the forest itself rises more and more, the town seemingly gets closer and closer and rises up over the forest, looming, waiting for its destruction. A really great way to illustrate conflict and tension. Or take this in the opening, for example, when the wolves are first shown coming out to attack the farmers that were cutting down the trees. The forest is looming in the darkness, and then the wolves come out, and the animation almost literally warps around the farmers as the wolves circle their attackers. But after one of the farmers gets attacked, the Wolfwalkers show up with their first screen appearance in the movie, and they heal the farmer, and as they do, and as they approach, the animation unwarps and goes back to this almost normal, flat perspective. Throughout the rest of the movie, it uses this warping motif to help show danger and conflict and bring the fear that's steeped into so much of the story to life in a way that is simply beautiful while also conveying things to the audience in a really effective way. You feel the almost claustrophobic effect of the wolves coming out, feeling nothing but imminent danger for the farmers. But when the Wolfwalkers come out, which by the way look pretty freaky coming out of the woods, you automatically get the sense that they're here to help, not to harm. It brings a lot of perspective to the threats throughout the movie that takes place on a pretty large scale. It feels so tight and almost claustrophobic and personal. A lot of this story is built around the conflict of the town and the forest, kind of like that other masterpiece woof movie, Princess Mononoke. Unlike Mononoke, though, a lot of the conflict that drives the story is built around personal conflict driven through fear. Fear is a constant in the story, whereas the three main rival forces in Mononoke hardly ever get scared in the same way as any of these characters are, even when they're doomed to die. But every single character in this movie, even the Lord Protector himself, though he hides it through malice and distrust, is scared. And fear usually turns into one thing, either hopelessness or anger. Sometimes both. The one thing may have been a little harsh. Be it like the Lord Protector, scared that the world doesn't and won't conform to his narrow worldview.
Lord Protector! Lord Protector! Protector of what?
Or Goodfellow, scared that he won't be able to protect his daughter in this new land after the death of his wife, to the point where he almost kills an innocent girl's mother, just out of fear. And even our protagonist, so scared to lose her now only friend and reminder of her former life, that she ends up repeating what her father did. Fear either makes us angry, or hopeless, or both. But the animation doesn't allow this to just be in the text. It doesn't allow them to just be angry or scared at each other and have nothing to show for it. And so the second motif comes into the movie with this scene here. Robin is telling her father that she went back out and found a way to get rid of all the wolves without even having to kill them. All he hears is that she went directly against the Lord Protector's orders. So through the fear of Lord Protector, he gets mad at Robin. A shadow looms over Robin as the animation itself starts to get more rough, never holding still. Then we cut to Goodfellow from Robin's perspective, looming over us. As the entire house starts to follow suit with his shadow, the animation has become dark. It's all just rough sketches of what used to be the house and everything in it. Everything in that rough black except for the walls where the comforting browns and yellows once were, now getting drowned out by the red of the fire, which has become even brighter since we switched to Robin's perspective. This fiery red itself becomes a common indicator of anger and evil throughout the rest of the movie. We cut back from Robin's perspective to a view from the side, and the animation has gone back to normal, and the fire has gone back to letting the browns and the yellows of the walls come back into frame, as Goodfellow's anger turns back to the fear that it was born from. Not only is this scene the start of one of my favorite animated storytelling methods, it also is one of the most beautiful scenes in this movie that you can hardly take time to enjoy due to the fact that on a first viewing this scene is extremely jarring from a filmmaking and intensity level compared to the rest of the film so far. It's the first time Goodfellow shows any anger towards Robin, or really any anger at all. But as the movie goes on and the stakes get higher and the story gets more personal and emotional for Robin, this motif evolves into one of the coolest stylistic storytelling choices this movie could have made. In the third act, Robin ends up doing essentially the same thing that her dad did to her, and being afraid for Maeve to the point that she gets upset and hurts her. During this argument, the aspect ratio changes. The same darkness that was slowly creeping its way into frame from the other scene slowly takes over entire sections of the frame. Still rough, and never holding still. As the scene goes on and Robin increasingly gives in to the fear that has captivated the whole town, the fear that her friend and all the wolves will die, the darkness takes over more and more of the frame, until it turns into Maeve's anger. She takes the yellow flower out of her hair that Robin had given to her, something I'll talk more about in a second, at its peak, leaving nothing but her face full of anger and fear and distrust at what seems like a betrayal, with blackness all around. And again here, later, when Robin is standing up to her dad to protect Maeve's mom, the frame starts collapsing again, this time from all sides. Robin's crying eyes, Lord Protector getting his armor on, Goodfellow readying his crossbow. Nothing but red taking over most of the scene as tension and fear rise, except for Robin's yellow hair, mostly covered up by the bonnet from the scullery. Robin finally decides to stand up to her father and tell him that what he's doing is wrong, and as she defies Lord Protector and the fear itself, she starts to let her hair out of the bonnet, as yellow explodes out, taking up most of the frame, sending the aspect ratio back to normal. Robin saves Maeve's mother and finally confronts her dad. He says they have to do what they're told. She asks, with tears in her eyes, why? Tears forming in his eyes too, he says, because I'm afraid. The roughness of the animation comes back in, but not in black lines of fear anymore, but this time into the characters' faces and the way they're drawn, the color and their animation, as Robin and her father's conflict comes to a peak. And then it's gone, as Goodfellow looks to the ground, not able to even look his own daughter in the eye because he's ashamed at what he's done, at what fear has led him to do. Throughout the movie, as I've pointed out several times, this movie plays with color non-stop in a very not subtle way, though I don't think that it's an inherently bad thing for as abstractly animated as this movie is. Red pretty much always is anger and fear, and to a lesser extent literally everything the Lord Protector wears, and is the main color of his hunting murder room and his soldiers, contrasted by the yellows throughout the movie, the Wolfwalkers' magic and Robin's hair, and even the sunlight that soon becomes something that you really want back as the movie goes on, and the greens to complement the yellows with its comforting life and growth, blues and grays taking over with the reds as the movie goes on. The use of color and contrast and the complements of these different color groups is best used in one of the greatest sequences in the whole movie, the running with the wolf sequence. As Robin first is learning what it is to be a wolf, Maeve tells her to close her eyes, that she doesn't need them to be able to see. We see through her smell and her hearing, through a sea of blacks and grays, as these wispy mist things in the yellow of Wolfwalkers' magic and the green of nature and life. The only thing she can see through the wolf senses is life, like music. It cuts out everything else in the world, everything but life and love and friendship. It's literally so beautiful, and I get chills from it every time. But throughout the movie, Goodfellow slowly loses more and more of his greens and yellows, as he gives in more and more into fear, until the point where he's in Lord Protector's army, with the red and blacks of the cold military uniform. Soon the only bit of yellow and life left in his color is his hair, just like Robin's, the bright yellow that she always has on her. She's his only source of hope left. She's all he has left. All of these motifs come to a head at the end of the movie. Lord Protector has moved in and started burning down the forest. Maeve's mom has just been shot and is dying as red starts to take over this once yellow and green forest, so beautiful that you genuinely long for the colors and light to come back. In the final battle against the Lord Protector, as Robin in wolf form is about to be killed, we cut to this shot of his sword raised, the rocks wrapping around him to the point that they look like talons or spikes grabbing around the frame. Lord Protector being backlit by nothing but reds and purples from the sky. Goodfellow locked up, not able to do anything about his last bit of hope, his only family left. In a last-ditch effort of desperation, he starts pulling at the chain around his neck. We cut to his eyes, the yellow of his hair now fully shining through and almost glowing over the whole frame, and the aspect ratio comes back into play, coming in at a diagonal angle instead of cutting off the sides as the frame in Goodfellow's eyes become more and more yellow and more angry. This time there's fear and anger just like before, but it's yellow now. It's not born in hatred and distilled in fear like the ideology of the Lord Protector. It's fear out of love for his child, and at just anger at the Lord Protector and all that he's done and is about to do. It cuts to black for a second, and then Goodfellow in wolf form, having been bit earlier, saves Robin at the last second. The magic from the Wolfwalkers comes through the rocks that once towered over, now bringing back the warm yellow. Lord Protector in utter shock, which quickly turns to hatred and fear, as the yellows come back into frame, and the only red left is on the Lord Protector's uniform, as he fully commits down his dark path, and they fight. Goodfellow takes a hit with a splash of red on screen, and you think he might be in trouble. But the yellow comes back in as Goodfellow takes back control of the fight and bites through his whole freaking sword. Then, as a last-ditch effort, the Lord Protector figures out that killing Goodfellow would kill the wolf, so he tries to shoot him as he's pinned down, and just as he's about to take the shot, an arrow zips past, as Robin, back in her body, takes her first successful shot in the whole movie. The Lord Protector gets backed onto a ledge with nothing but a knife. He stabs, Goodfellow bites. The yellow of the magic coming fully into frame and coming even from Goodfellow's teeth, completely overpowered by the life and love and magic, not just of the characters, but from the animation itself. The Lord Protector releases his chestplate, dropping him off the waterfall into the sharp rocks at the bottom. We only get one more instance of aspect change as Wolffellow walks up to Robin, scared of what she might think or do. But as she runs to embrace him, instead of taking over more and more of the frame, it quickly recedes. They all go inside the den where Maeve has been failing to heal her mom, the red of the blood still creeping into frame. Robin goes and helps her friend, and together with all the wolves and her father by her side, we get this amazingly beautiful shot of the yellow of Wolfwalkers' magic, as the score, which we've only gotten small tastes of here and there, comes back in full force. We cut to the soldiers in the flaming forest as we can see the magic from there, as rain puts out the fire, slowly killing the last of the red. The townsfolk comes out because they can hear the howling and what looks like the sun itself shining from the forest. Robin and Maeve's souls come together in some of the most beautiful animation I've ever seen in my life. Then it all fades, and Maeve's mom wakes up. Finally, the orange of their hair taking up a lot of the frame. Orange, the combination of yellow and red, showing the balance that has come to save them. The healthy fear and anger and love of family and life. We go to them all leaving as a family, the fall leaves having all turned orange, and their wagon itself draped in both reds and yellows and greens and blues. They run off towards their new, happy lives. Cue howling. Fade to end title. This movie is absolutely insane, and there's so much I could talk about, from the amazing chemistry of Maeve and Robin, to the beautiful score, and the inspired writing, and the amazing accents. But the one thing that stood out to me in this movie more than anything is the animation, how it comes to life through it, the beauty and emotion, and really the movie itself come to life in a way that few movies I've ever seen, even other movies from Cartoon Saloon, I've ever done. It's a masterclass in using simple stuff like colors and roughness of animation, and even the fully bendable world that animation, and specifically 2D animation, allows you to have, to create something beautiful and unique that tells a simple folk story, essentially a fairy tale, in such a powerful and unique way. In the making of this video, I found out that this movie, being one of their most expensive movies ever made, hasn't even made a tenth, like an actual tenth, of any of their other movies, probably due to it being on Apple TV Plus and having no theater or physical release yet. And even though it got an Academy nomination, I saw very few people who actually had seen it. It made me super sad, so if this video can do anything, I hope it will inspire you to go check out this movie. Heck, pay for 1 month of Apple TV Plus and go watch it. And don't count out 2D animated movies. It's a dying animation style. Even Ghibli itself moving away from it. Movies like The Princess and the Frog and Sinbad, some of the last remnants of a dying animation style. My favorite animation style, and one of my favorite forms of storytelling in general. Go check out the rest of Cartoon Saloon's work. It's genuinely on the same level, if not better, than some of the movies Ghibli and Pixar and Laika get put out, with hardly getting any of the same hype. Wolfwalkers is a movie I thought would be great for my audience, since most of you came from that Over the Garden Wall video I made, which, thank you so much for getting it to, I think, 7,000 views right now. Like, that's blowing my mind. It's not even that great of a video. So please, go check this movie out. I promise you won't be disappointed. And who knows, you may just find something that you love, like I did when I first heard that soft Irish music and the beautiful shots of a world full of life. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I wrote in the script, actually, that by the time this is out, I should have the giveaway shipped, and I actually do. It got there, so that's awesome. As much as I enjoyed my vacation, I really missed this, and I really missed you guys, so I hope you guys had a good time without me. We've almost doubled in subscribers since I did my 100 subscriber giveaway thing, actually. I guess we technically have doubled, which is insane. Thank you so much. I'm really glad you guys are enjoying this channel. Happy Pride Month, everyone. Go stream Luca, and also Wolfwalkers. Voting on next month's video should pop up on Twitter soon. That's at Micah_Grayway. And I may be doing some fun new stuff, depending on how plans go. It's still a little bit out, but I'm going to try something new. I hope you guys are having a great start to summer. Maybe. I think that's happening. I think. And I hope you had a good Father's Day. And I hope you have a great next month.